Well, it appears that we're on right now. You'll notice I'm in a little different position than I usually am on these events because today I'm going to just talk to you for 10 minutes or so. I'm not going to use any charts, plus which I didn't get some of the equipment that I talked about wanting to have. And so I couldn't set up the way I wanted to set it up. So I thought I would just change the topic and then we'd talk about what I want to talk about today. You'll also notice over my head the name of the company, which is the company that actually is the sponsor of the Red Shoe Business Club. And if you go to my website, which is taxright.net, you will see my red shoes displayed there on the opening page when you log in. So that kind of helps tie this stuff together. We've talked about what is the biggest expense that every business has. That's what we talked about the first week. We've talked about some of the ways to implement that. But today, because of some other stuff that I've seen and received, it reminded me of something that I have to work on all the time. The two most important concepts or words that you need to know as a business. Every business operates based upon these two words, and your effectiveness at implementing what these words stand for is the proof of the effectiveness of your business. I can't say that any more directly than that. That's the way things are. So, what are the two words you're saying? You might want to jot these down, or jot them down mentally, or write them on your palm of your hand. The two words are focus, F-O-C-U-S, and discipline, D-I-S-C-I-P-L-I-N-E. Focus and discipline. I confess that in general, my personality, you might think as an accountant that I would be very organized, that I would be a little OCD perhaps, that I would have everything in order. But if you look behind me at my office, you'll see stacks of stuff. You'll see things thrown helter-skelter around. I am anything but organized and OCD. But I do know this. When I take the time to discipline myself, when I focus on the discipline piece, I am the most effective. A little over a year ago, in similar circumstances, I decided that I should start focusing on the discipline of walking every day. And so for almost 9 months, I did. Not every day, but probably 6 days a week, I would walk for at least a mile, often longer. I used the time to dictate thoughts and to listen to some music and also some audiobooks. It was a very effective time. And when it came time for my annual medical exam, I had really good results. And basically the only thing I had done was to start the walking discipline. But then the weather turned cold and it got dark earlier and a variety of other things went by and I stopped. And then, of course, the Christmas holidays started, and so I relaxed my dietary restrictions. And as a consequence, by early this year, I had gained back 20 pounds of the 40 pounds that I lost the year before. This is a failure of discipline. And I must confess that even after I started recognizing that, I started having more difficulty in getting the discipline back. Always with an excuse, always with a problem. Always some reason why I wasn't able to fulfill the discipline that I knew I needed. I wasn't focusing on the discipline. I'm not trying to jumble these things up. What I'm trying to tell you is how fundamental the idea of discipline is. And discipline doesn't necessarily mean a specific thing. Discipline means doing what needs to be done. And so because I have difficulty with this, this is something that I work on individually, personally, all the time. As a business owner, the same thing is true. Because the core of my business relates to tax preparation, and because in the US, tax preparation is an event that occurs generally between the middle of January and the middle of April, that provides me with a focus that is imposed from the outside. The tax season is something that happens by federal law. Now, it's true that as my practice has expanded, I've done tax work in more times of the year than just during the tax season itself. But that's also part of the discipline problem, because now that I don't have the discipline of the tax season upon me, I get a little loosey-goosey. And sometimes I let clients' work get a little behind because there are other things that attract my attention. There are other things that I need to be doing that I stop doing during the tax season simply because I don't have the time to do them. So why do I say this? I say this because that experience, my business experience, is no different than any other business owners. You have to do the things you have to do. You'll remember yesterday when I was talking about having to go to the trouble of writing yourself a check from the business account, putting it into your personal account before you pay your personal bills. And I was saying that I talked about people whining about that because it's hard, because it's difficult. But that's part of the discipline that comes with being a business owner. Being a business owner means that you're going to do the kinds of things that business owners do. And the kinds of things that business owners do, well, there's lots of things, but one of the things that business owners do is they keep track of their books, and they keep track of what their business is doing, and they keep track of how their business is doing it. And they learn more about their business, and they take time to market their business, and they take time to find better ways to operate their business. And they take time to do all kinds of things that we will talk about as this program goes on. But this is something that business owners have to do. So that's where the second word comes in, the word focus. I like to say that focus lets you decide what you need to do, and discipline gets you to do it. And so that's what you need to be focusing on, is what are you focusing on? There's a book, the author's name escapes me. I believe it's Keller. I don't remember his first name, but it's called The One Thing. And if you see the book advertised, the word one is right in the middle, the one thing. What Keller is talking about, and it's a fascinating book, but the core principle is this: what is the one thing that I should do next, that in so doing, I either make what comes next easier or eliminate what comes next entirely? That's how you focus. And when you're dealing with such issues as walking for my health, or whether you're dealing with issues about marketing for more business, or whether you're dealing with issues about getting the work done that you've already sold for your business, that's how you decide what the next thing is that you do. That's how you focus. But that's not something that you just do sitting at your desk, drinking coffee or talking on a Zoom meeting. That's something that once you've decided what that one thing is, then you go do it. I've got a couple tasks later on today that I have to do because I know it's more than one thing. But once one thing is done, then I can go on to the next thing. But this is the point. I need to actually do those things. One of them has to do with starting a list of properties that belong to a client. The other thing has to do with calling the IRS on behalf of another client. Another thing that I have to do involves getting a payroll system set up for yet another client. My point is that I can toss off all those things because the other thing I have to do today sounds more fun. There's a business show that I intend to go to, and I will go there. But my point is, the schedule in my mind is that I'll go to the business show after we get done here, spend an hour or two there, and then I'll come back to the office and go back to those other three things. So I have my focus. The discipline, I'll have to see if it works out. Because remember, I was disciplined when I walked, but now I've lost that discipline. Well, I have the focus has told me what the discipline is I have to do next. And the proof of the pudding will be whether I do it. I don't want you to toss off this idea, even though it's relatively simple to explain, because I have found that when I fail to do these two things, when I fail to be focused and when I fail to discipline myself, my business does not do well. But when I do focus and when I do the things that I say I'm going to do, my business prospers. I almost wish I was OCD so that I could get to the point where my mind would never wander, where I would never go on to something else. Although that would be important for money purposes, but it might not be so important for my spiritual growth, if you will. But it doesn't matter what you're talking about. It doesn't matter what your business concerns or your personal concerns are. Those two words are the key to getting things done. You have to figure out what you want to do. That's focus. And then you have to do it. That's discipline. Focus and discipline. Focus and discipline. So if you don't get anything else out of this series of talks that I've done, I hope you walk away with this idea of focus and discipline. And I'll make you a commitment. Because of this, it's started to make me think that I made a mistake when I quit walking. So I'm going to make you a commitment. When this series of 30 programs is over, by the end of this, which is the last week in October, I will let you know what my results are about going back to my daily walks. I won't promise to do it every single day, but I will promise to be able to say that I've done it at least 5 days out of every week, hopefully 6, because I need to get back to the discipline of doing something that I know works. And we can talk about that too a little bit more. We've all done things, and when somebody reminds us of them, we say, oh yeah, I used to do that. And then when you stop to think and try to go back to why did you stop, it's always a difficult thing to think about. So what it says is that many of our habits are not as well established as we'd like to think they are. So it's an important concept to be able to grasp, but more importantly, it's an important concept to be able to implement. See, we even have the issue of focus and discipline when we're talking about focusing and disciplining, because we have to focus on what we want to focus on. I have to focus on the planning. I have to focus on what's important to do. And once I start doing it, I have to be sure that I do it. And sometimes the focus comes back to get you involved into the discipline, because the focus, when you get focused on things, they happen because they're the first thing in your mind. We may talk about this later on. I had planned to talk about this later on, but I'm going to introduce this to you right now. It's the concept of what Earl Nightingale, one of the best personal motivation teachers from the 1940s and 50s. His most famous tape is The Strangest Secret. And I invite you to go to YouTube or just online in general and put in the words The Strangest Secret, or perhaps The Strangest Secret, Earl Nightingale. But here's the thing. This is an audio program. Earl has a pleasant voice. But here's the thing. Here's what he's teaching. I've seen different segments of this in 15, 20, 30-minute segments. But I can zero in on the important piece, the piece that is the strangest secret. And that is this. You become what you think about. You become what you think about. And so if what you're thinking of, so See, we're bringing in focus and discipline. The focus is what you think about. You think about what you're focusing on. You think about the one thing. You think about your business. You think about making money. You think about your beloved partner. You think about your friends. You think about all of these things that are part of our lives. And we certainly, the one thing does not mean to imply that we're all single-minded and we only are concerned about one thing. We're not obsessive about one thing. The one thing means that if you're thinking about what to do next, it gives you a guide on what to focus on. And the one thing principle is that what is the one thing that if I do it, it will either make the next steps easier or will eliminate them altogether. You become what you think about. So when you start to make those focusing decisions, your focusing decisions are guided by what it is that's on your mind. And you can control what's on your mind. Let's talk about that for a minute. If your business is not doing well, it is your common thought process, what's going on in your mind is, geez, my business isn't doing well. I don't have this money. I owe these people money. This person isn't paying me. So on the strangest secret principle, you become what you think about. You become depressed. You become needy. You become unable to accept the abundance that the world offers, because all you're thinking about is neediness. All you're thinking about is poverty. All you're thinking about is what you don't have. And you start moving into that poor little old me aspect. But if instead you reframe your thinking, specifically when your business is not doing well, what can I do to change that? If there was anything I could do at all that would change this, what would it be? And this isn't just wishful thinking. This just isn't wish I could win the lottery. You might make winning the lottery one of the segments of your growth prospect, with the understanding that it probably won't happen. But everybody likes to tell the story about the founder of FedEx, who made funded one of his payrolls by going to Las Vegas and gambling. Certainly don't recommend that as a business plan, but it's something that is effective. It was effective for him. If your business is in trouble, instead of concentrating on the troubles, start concentrating on the things you can do to bring yourself out of those troubles. How to get more money, how to get more clients, how to get more time. Because now you're thinking about the positive things that need to happen. You're thinking about the growth possibilities. You're thinking about the money that you will receive. And since you become what you think about, now you're thinking about positive things. Now you're thinking about good things. And that shifts your focus and discipline away from feeling sorry for yourself and toward the idea of what can I do next to accomplish what I want to accomplish, to get the money that I need to get. Don't think about this as a bunch of woo-woo stuff. This is powerful. And anybody and everybody, if you're not doing it as a regular part of your life, you can remember times in the past when you have followed this regimen. And I will guarantee you, I think I can go without saying, without fear of being told that I'm wrong. If you focus on that, you will find that at those times you did that, those were the times you were the most successful. Those were the times that the best things happened to you and for you and so forth. So yes, this is all about what goes on in your heart, what goes on in your mind. Your focus, your discipline is is what makes your business prosper. Your tools that you use to focus, I've given you two. Thinking about the things that you want and deciding what the one thing is that if you do it, you can make the next things easier or eliminate them altogether. So think about that over the next day. Tomorrow I'll be back with the drawing board because we're going to do something that's my favorite thing to talk about, and that's record keeping. Ooh, I know that's what you're saying is, ooh, but believe me, as a business tool, record keeping is vital. And we're going to explore some of the areas that way. So please, the Red Shoe Business Club is here for you. The Red Shoe Business Club is something that those that belong can learn things from, can share things to teach others from, and in general can make your business a better one. Next week, I'll start telling you how you can actually join the Red Shoe Business Club, what that looks like if you do join, and we'll try to make this just a little bit more inclusive. But for today, remember, focus and discipline. Take care.